Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a close look at a really critical part of healthcare.
That's right.
The global market for gynecological devices. It impacts so many people.
Absolutely. Billions worldwide.
We're working from an excerpt, a market research report from Cognitive Market Research.
And our plan is to unpack it.
Exactly. Cut through the numbers, find the key trends, and really understand what's shaping this vital sector, what you need to know.
It's a dynamic field. This report covers, everything from the diagnostic tools we see every day to advanced surgical robotics.
So it's not just the size and growth, but the why behind it all.
Precisely. The forces driving change. It's where tech meets, well, fundamental healthcare needs.
Okay, let's jump right in. When we say gynecological devices, the report covers a pretty wide range, doesn't it?
It really does. Basically, any medical device for diagnosing, treating, or managing conditions of the female reproductive system.
So like,
Think diagnostic imaging, ultrasound, obviously, but also more specialized things, colposcopes, for instance. The report lists those.
got it. Diagnostics. And on the treatment side?
Surgical instruments are a big piece. The report really stresses that. Things for laparoscopy, hysteroscopy,
Minimally invasive stuff.
right, and also therapeutic devices. That's everything from, say, IUDs, intrauterine devices, right up to complex equipment for fertility treatments. It's a broad spectrum.
Okay. And why all the focus? Why is this market moving so much? What are the core drivers?
There are several big ones. First, just greater awareness about women's health issues generally. People are seeking care more often.
Which makes sense.
And tied to that, there's a rising prevalence of various gynecological disorders. So more awareness leads to more diagnoses, which means more conditions needing treatment.
Right, the two feed each other. People know more, they get checked, diagnoses happen, and demand for the tools goes up.
Exactly. And then you layer on top of that two other huge factors. Technology keeps advancing, changing what's even possible.
Right.
And there's a real growing demand from both patients and doctors for minimally invasive procedures.
Less invasive, faster recovery.
Definitely. Plus, the report mentions broader things too, like aging populations globally and just, rising healthcare spending overall. That lifts all boats in medical devices.
Okay, let's put some numbers on this. How big is this market right now, globally, according to the report?
They estimated at USD 123.348 million for 2025.
$12.3 billion, roughly, just for next year. Wow. And looking ahead, where's it headed by 2033?
The forecast is pretty striking. It's projected to more than double.
Double?
Yeah, reaching USD 247.85.32543 million by 2033.
Doubling in, what, 8 years? That really signals some serious momentum. What's the growth rate, the CAGR?
A solid 9.10% compound annual growth rate.
Hmm.
That's projected from 2025 through to 2033.
9.1%. That's pretty healthy for any sector, especially healthcare.
It is, and the report's time frame, just so you know, uses historical data from 21 to 24, sets 2024 as the base, and then forecasts out to 2033.
Okay, got the scale, got the pace. Let's dig into those dynamics. What's really pushing that 9.1% growth?
Well, innovation is a huge engine here. The report really emphasizes how new tech is improving efficiency, accuracy, patient outcomes.
What kind of tech are we talking about, specifically in gynecology?
Things like AI and machine learning being integrated
Yeah,
for analyzing diagnostic images, maybe improving workflows.
makes sense.
Data analytics, too.
Mm-hmm.
Telemedicine, digital health platforms, those help with access, maybe lower some costs.
Right.
Personalized medicine approaches are popping up, needing specific devices. And then there's automation, more use of electronic health records or EHRs. It all streamlines things.
It's amazing how these big tech trends filter down. Any specific examples, like innovation in action?
Yeah, they give one concrete example.
Yeah.
Medtronic's Hugo robotic-assisted surgery system. It was used successfully for a GYN procedure down in Panama back in July 2021.
Ah, robotics. That's where it gets really tangible, isn't it? High precision surgery.
Exactly. A clear case of advanced tech hitting the operating room in this field.
Okay. And you also mentioned the increased prevalence of conditions driving demand.
Right. The report connects the dots, saying that the general rise in chronic diseases globally, like cancer, diabetes, even neurological issues, creates, well, higher healthcare needs overall.
And that often impacts or includes gynecological health.
Precisely. So more need for healthcare generally means more need for advanced devices, including these ones.
So lots pushing the market forward. Any headwinds? Anything holding it back?
The main one flagged in the report is cost. the high price tag on many of these advanced devices.
Yeah, the accessibility issue. We hear that a lot with cutting-edge med tech.
Exactly. High costs limit who can afford them, which hits underfunded healthcare systems or lower-income communities hardest.
It's not just patient cost, is it?
No, it's also about hospitals and clinics. Budget constraints might stop them from getting the latest tech that can, widen the gap in the quality of care people receive.
A really crucial point. Affects healthcare equity. So, besides drivers and restraints, what about the big trends? How are these devices being used differently or developed differently?
A key trend, and it connects back to the drivers, is this huge demand for less invasive options. Procedures with faster recovery times.
That's definitely a massive shift across medicine, not just gynecology.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here, the report points to things like laparoscopic surgery becoming standard, more endoscopic treatments, laser therapies, even non-surgical stuff is growing, like aesthetic procedures, Botox, fillers, or regenerative medicine using stem cells or PRP therapy. It all speaks to wanting less intervention, faster bounce back.
Less downtime, yeah, that's a big deal for patients. What's the other major trend?
It's that continued deeper integration of advanced tech. We mentioned it as a driver, but it's also defining the next wave of devices.
How so?
Like AI being used very specifically in diagnostics, helping spot things like ovarian cancer earlier by analyzing images or data. Robotics, like we said, for precision surgery. And 3D imaging, giving doctors much better views for diagnosis and planning surgery.
So tech isn't just tweaking old tools, it's changing the whole approach. Okay, let's break the market down. How does the report segment it? By product type first. Who's got the biggest slice?
The report says surgical devices dominate that segment. By product type, they're the largest share.
Is that just because surgery is, well, fundamental to treating so many conditions?
Pretty much. They're essential for common procedures like hysterectomies, laparoscopies, sterilizations. They offer the precision, the safety, and they enable those shorter recovery times, especially with minimally invasive and robotic methods growing.
Makes sense. Any other product types making waves, showing strong growth?
Hand instruments are also noted as driving significant growth. They're vital for precision, ease of use, both in diagnosis and surgery.
Right.
And the shift to less invasive procedures boosts their demand too. Plus, there's ongoing innovation in just making them better ergonomics, durability.
And didn't the report single out one specific category as fastest growing?
Yes, it did. Endometrial ablation devices, highlighted as the fastest growing segment by product type.
Interesting. Okay. And the report also mentions diagnostic imaging systems and gynecological chairs as separate categories.
Correct. Those are broken out too, but surgical devices have the lead share right now.
All right, so that's what the devices are. Now, how they're used, the application segments, what's dominant there?
Diagnostic procedures. That's a major application area and a key driver for the whole market.
Because early detection is everything.
Exactly. Accurate diagnosis up front is crucial for outcomes. And the report highlights how innovations in imaging, like ultrasound and hysteroscopy, keep making diagnostics better, more precise. They're key for screening for cervical cancer, fibroids, ovarian cysts, things like that.
Okay, so diagnostics is huge. What's the other main application?
Surgical procedures, described as a rapidly growing sector.
And I'm guessing that links right back to the demand for minimally invasive options and the tech advancements?
You got it. This area is being really transformed by things like robotic surgery tools, better laparoscopes, uterine manipulators. These aren't just helping with old procedures. They're genuinely improving outcomes, cutting recovery time way down, minimizing complications compared to, traditional open surgery.
Big difference. And the third application listed is therapeutic procedures.
Yes, that's the third category they break out.
Okay, last breakdown. Where are these devices ending up? The end users. Who's buying and using them the most?
Hospitals. The report indicates they are the dominant end user segment.
Which makes sense. They handle the complex stuff, have the big budgets, the infrastructure.
Yep, they're central. Comprehensive care, big investments in advanced tech. They're the primary buyers for a wide range of these devices. Plus, their role in clinical research often drives adoption too.
But is there a faster growing segment, maybe reflecting that shift towards less invasive care outpatient settings?
Yes, clinics are pointed out as a rapidly growing sector.
Ah, okay. Why the growth there?
It seems to be a mix of factors. Growing awareness, tech becoming more accessible and suitable for outpatient use, that rising demand for minimally invasive procedures.
Which can increasingly be done outside a hospital.
Exactly. There's a definite trend towards moving appropriate procedures into clinic environments. Better convenience, often lower cost.
So the trends in procedures and end users are neatly linked, and the third category mentioned is ambulatory surgical centers.
Correct. Also part of that outpatient shift.
Okay, let's zoom out. The global view. How does the market share look geographically based on this analysis?
Right. For 2025, North America is the leader by a significant margin, over 40% of the global market value. That's pegged at USD 568.76 million.
Over 40% just in North America, that's substantial.
It really is. Europe is second, over 30%, around USD 3,580.92 million. Then Asia Pacific, APAC, that's about 23%, nearly USD 3 billion.
Yeah.
South America is over 5%, Middle East around 2%, and Africa holds the smallest share currently, around 1%, about USD 271 million.
So North America is a current giant. But growth rates, does the future look different? Is that dominance shifting?
That's where it gets really interesting. While North America is biggest now, APAC is forecast to be the fastest growing region. By quite a bit, actually.
Faster how?
A projected CAGR of 12.0% between 2025 and 2033.
12% in APAC. That's way above the global average of 9.1%. What's fueling that kind of acceleration?
The report links it to increasing awareness there, rising prevalence of conditions, but also, crucially, big investments in expanding healthcare infrastructure, especially in countries like India and China.
Ah, infrastructure build-out.
Yes. The Middle East and South America also show pretty strong growth rates, 9.6% and 9.5%. Europe and North America, while large, are growing a bit slower, 8.1% and 7.9%. Africa has the lowest listed CAGR at 5.2%.
So the big established markets are growing steadily, but APAC is really hitting the accelerator. It could gain quite a bit of share over the next decade. Does the report give country-specific numbers, too?
It does. Unsurprisingly, the U.S. is the biggest single-country market within North America, over $3.6 billion in 2025.
Okay.
China is the second largest individual country listed globally, about $1.2 billion. Germany, the UK, Russia are also significant.
And within APAC?
India stands out. Its projected CAGR is mentioned as a remarkable 13.9%.
Wow, nearly 14% for India. That really highlights where some of the most intense growth is expected within that fast-growing region.
Definitely. And the report covers many others. Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, France, Italy, Canada, Mexico.
Yeah.
Shows the depth of the data.
Good detail. Okay, let's talk companies. Who are the key players shaping this competitive landscape?
It's a highly competitive market, as you'd expect. The report lists several major names: Medtronic, Cooper Surgical, Richard Wolf, Hologic, Boston Scientific, Stryker.
Familiar names in medtech.
Yeah, Karl Storz, Ethicon, that's J&J MedTech, Cook Medical, Bayer, Gynemed, Gynexcorp. A mix of large multinationals and specialized players.
And what are their main strategies, according to the report? How are they competing?
Primarily through innovation, which we discussed, but also strategic moves like mergers, acquisitions, partnerships.
Trying to build scale and broaden their offering.
Exactly. Expand product portfolios, strengthen their tech, increase their global reach. Product development, navigating regulations, and expanding internationally are all key focuses.
Any specific examples of recent company moves mentioned?
Yes, a few illustrate this. Autologic acquired Boulder Surgical back in October 21. That was specifically to boost their laparoscopic device portfolio.
M&A in action.
Right. Inovia Medical launched a new single-use biopsy punch in the U.S. earlier this year, February 2024, expanding their specialized range.
Product launch.
And Endolux unveiled a new wireless endoscopic camera system in March 2022. High-def, portable, designed for specialties including gynecology, focusing on visualization tech.
So M&A, new products, tech upgrades, all happening. Now, the report looks beyond just the market numbers, too, right? Broader factors.
It does. It mentions analyzing things like political, economic, social, technological, legal, environmental factors, your pestle analysis.
Standard business environment scanning.
Yes, and also competitive dynamics, using frameworks like Porter's 5 Forces. And it even notes analysis of things like the impact of trade policies, mentioning Trump's tariff war analysis specifically. The key is it analyzes these factors, doesn't take a side, just assesses potential impacts.
Right, providing context for the market, understanding the whole ecosystem.
Exactly, from regulations to economic shifts.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together. What are the absolute must-know takeaways from this deep dive into the Gynecological Devices report?
Well, the headline is definitely significant growth. Nearly $25 billion by 2033, driven by that solid 9.1% annual growth rate.
propelled mainly by tech innovation and rising healthcare needs and awareness.
Correct. And while surgical devices and diagnostic procedures are core applications, and hospitals are the biggest end users now.
We're seeing faster growth in areas using less invasive tech, often happening in clinics and other outpatient settings. That's a key shift.
Geographically, North America leads today, but the big growth story is Asia Pacific. Countries like India showing really high acceleration. That signals a potential shift in the global landscape over the next decade.
So, thinking about all that, the strong growth, the tech integration like AI and robotics really taking hold, the move to less invasive procedures in clinics, what could the everyday practice of gynecology actually look like, say, 10 years from now? And maybe more importantly, how might these device trends impact the access and standard of women's healthcare globally, especially in those really fast-growing regions we talked about?